Okay. I would like to stop on the vacuum tube and the necessity of the creation of the vacuum tube. Vacuum tube was invented inside the Bell laboratories, and Alexander Bell at that time experienced problems with the market because all of his patents expired at that time, and a lot of competitors appeared that could make a telephony, a local company that could provide a similar service as his company. And that is why he was intended to create something that would make or return the advantage to him again. And inside his laboratory, he put the goal to make it possible to make a call from the eastern coast to the western coast of United States. And the problem was that it was not possible to bring such a signal for a big distance, and he required a special element to amplify the electrical signal, and such an element was a vacuum tube. And the vacuum tube had a lot of problems, and especially for the complicated and devices and computer machines. For ENIAC, for example, had 18,000 of such vacuum tubes. Vacuum tube was very weighty, produced a lot of heat, and was notoriously unstable, so the period of life of each vacuum tube was very short. And during the work of ENIAC, it produced more than 174 watts. That is why it required a heavy-duty air conditioning system. And inside Bell Laboratory, three geniuses, Bodin, Brittain, and Shockley, was working on producing a new element that could solve two particular problems: to work as a switch and to work as an amplifier of an electrical signal. And they wanted to avoid vacuum tubes. They were intended to create such an element from solid materials, and they chose the chromium and germanium to create their first element, and they named it as a transistor. The name was proposed by a scientific fictionist, and the transistor means that this relay worked as the switch and amplifier just like a resistor, but apparently was a switch and an amplifier simultaneously. They invented it in 1947 and showed for the publicity their invention, and those inventions was not very popular and was not publicated widely, but two Japanese entrepreneurs paid attention to this invention and actually succeeded on the market with production of their radio equipment, and they named their company as Sony. But if we will take a look at the invention of the transistor, we will see the conflict that arises between Shockley and Bodin and Brittain, because Bodin and Brittain, they worked on their experiments alone together without Shockley, and Shockley envied them because he was on the different side of this work, and when they have invented a transistor, he was aside and he wanted to join this initial movement, and actually he have proposed the improvement to this transistor later. But by a fact, this conflict led William Shockley to leave AT&T and to create his own company in the United States in California. So he have established his first company to produce semiconductors, and two men he have acquired and he have employed was Robert Noyce and as a founder of Intel Corporation later. But in 1956, Bodin, Shockley and Brittain obtained the Nobel Prize for their endeavors in transistor invention. And they were very happy this period, and they have reunioned and repeated their photo that have been acquired during their first initial invention in 1947. And later, Shockley was not very successful with his business. When he got back to United States, he found that it was very expensive to hold all of the engineers within this company, and some of the engineers could not work with him, knowing his character. And Robert Noyce and his partner formed another company. So they left William Shockley and formed the Fairchild Semiconductors, and was very successful to transform this company into Intel Corporation that we know for nowadays as a leader in the chip productions.